Check Jackal hops now. Okay. What isn't there? Wasn't there a deck that went like 5-0 twice with Jackal hops? Isn't there? Like just recently in Legacy, it went 5-0 twice in a row or something like that. Jackal hops, $6. $6 is probably a good price, you know, because this is a ridiculous commander card. Like, if it is like playable in Legacy, like people say, I'm still not convinced, but I think it may have been a fluke. But if it's playable in Legacy, $6 Legacy playable here. But really, just in terms of commander, look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Burial artifact creatures and lands. Lands, but not enchantments or planeswalkers, you see. Do you see? So you can really make some weird stuff with this deck, with this card. Don't forget the Dingus. That's right, baby. Dingus Egg. Y'all don't even know. You don't even know the combo, baby. Dingus Egg? Don't show me that. Don't show that garbage Dingus Egg. Whenever anyone loses a land, whenever a land is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, that's probably supposed to read. Whenever anyone loses a land, Dingus Egg deals 2 damage to the player for each land lost. So, you know what you do with that? You know what you do with that? Because you're so smart. You know what you do? What is all this? What is all this garbage? What are all these terrible prints of this card? Show me the good Armageddon with the skulls. Yeah, that's the one. That's the Armageddon. Right there. How much? Just so I can keep doing this, because I guess I really enjoy what we're doing right now. Sorry if no one else does. How much is a beta Armageddon? Oh, it's $1,000. That's unreasonable. Really is. However, unlimited one, 164. Ooh, the collector's edition. This is the one that's square, and it's got on the back. It says like limited edition, not for tournament play or something like that. But 45 for that, it's pretty good. I mean, you people play these cards in Commander. It doesn't matter. Here's my hope, man, for Brothers War, is that like they just reprint a bunch of old stuff. We reprint Howling Mine. Oh my god. Howling Mine, man, that's a card that I bring up a lot on the channel recently because there's a lot of cards that are attempting to be one-sided Howling Mines, right? That's an ugly art, dude. Show me the good Howling Mine. Show me that one. Show me that. Show me that revised Howling Mine. That's the good one. This is my childhood. Show it to me. How much are you? Revised edition. Ooh, $15 for Howling Mine? That's pretty good. 4th. You get one from 4th edition, $6. That's really good for a Howling Mine. $6. Each player draws 1 extra card during his or her draw phase. Each player. So it works all around. But I would love for this card to get reprinted. I would just random stuff. Reprint this. Reprint Ivory Tower if you can. I think you can. It's nothing, right? I don't even think this card would see play nowadays. 1 mana artifact during your upkeep game, 1 life for each card in your hand above 4. You would. This card would see play because it's just probably like the best 1 mana artifact in Standard. It might see some play, but it wouldn't this card wouldn't break Standard. It wouldn't. You know, just bring back that stuff. I want Sui Black aggro cards. Yeah, man. What is it, like Carnophage is the card I'm thinking of? Sui Black is like one of my favorite aggro decks of all time. We don't need Turbo Fog in Standard again? Yeah. Ivory Tower would lead to that. Raiders. We used to think Raiders was a playable Magic card, dude. Raiders. This is the real one. I don't know what that last card was. It just tried to show us this. That is cool looking. That is definitely cool looking. But this is Raiders. 2 mana, 2/3. If you don't attack with it during your turn, it deals 2 damage to you at the end of turn. It deals no damage to you the turn it comes into play on your side because it's summoning 6. So, yeah. 2 mana, 2/3 with downside and no upside whatsoever was a playable card. What is it? Ironclaw Orcs? Yep, here it is. This was a playable Magic card in Sly. Mono Red. The first Mono Red aggro deck. It wasn't the first, because there's like Mono Red Goblins was a thing, but like the first like tournament level Mono Red aggro deck named for Paul Sly, because I know my history, was named Sly, and it played 4 copies of Ironclaw Orcs. This is a 2 mana 2/2 with a downside, but you don't care. It can't be assigned to block any blah blah blah. You know, it's not going to block. It's mono red aggro. it may as well say it can't block. You would not care. Back then, red did not get bears. Red did not get grizzly bears. 2 mana 2/2s. Just didn't happen. That just wasn't a thing that happened. So this was a playable card. This is a very playable card. You want to see what else was playable, y'all? Jackal Pup. Jackal Pup was a key card. It was so insane for red to have a Savannah Lions back then that it carried this ridiculously massive downside. 1 mana 2/1. For each 1 damage dealt to Jackal Pup, it deals a damage to you. So if your opponent blocks it, it can deal 3, 4, 5 damage to you, depending on what they block it with, right? So, massive downside. 4 of in mono red aggro. However, that was the days when we got better spells. So, you know, creatures weren't as good. Spells were much better. So not only did the deck get Lightning Bolt, but it also got Fire Blast. And Fire Blast is an unbelievable magic card. This is 6 mana at instant speed, but I want you to completely disregard the 6 mana cost on this. You may sacrifice 2 mountains instead of paying Fire Blast casting cost, 4 damage to a target. You never pay 6. You don't have I've never even once. I think I actually have seen a couple people pay 6 for this. I think I have paid 6 for a Fire Blast on random occasions, but like for the most part, you don't pay any mana for Fire Blast. You know, you get in on turn 3 or 4, usually turn 4, and then you Fire Blast for the win. Is how this deck worked. On top of all the lightning bolts and stuff that you're slinging at him. So, God, Sly was a great deck. Man, reprint Fire Blast, you cowards. You won't do it. You won't. Wizards, you won't do that. Everyone loved this card. This was in the original mono green Stompy deck with Rancor and all the really bad like 1-drops, a Pouncing Jaguar and Wild Dogs, I think it was called. Argothian Worm is 4 mana for a 6/6 trample. When it comes into play, any other player may sacrifice a land to put Worm on top of its owner's library. So this often forced like a weird thing on your opponent, like a weird game of when they could no longer afford to sacrifice lands, right? But it was usually the best Stompy 4-drop back then because, you know, your blue players, your Morphling players are trying to get to 5 mana against you so hard. They're trying to get to 6 mana to just like activate Stalking Stones. Like it was that level back in the day, right? So just a 4 mana 6/6 was good enough. If your opponent did leave it on the table, they couldn't chump it. It tramples, right? So usually by the time it did hit the table, your opponent was either, you know, out of lands or they would leave it to where they had like 3 lands out. They'd let you have your worm and then try to remove it, right? But if they couldn't remove it, it would basically just trample over them for 2 turns in a row, finish the game late, right? So Argothian Worm was key to Stompy decks back in the day, but this card would probably not see like any play whatsoever right now. Pouncing Jaguar, another key. This is a 1 mana 2/2, which was, you have no idea how unbelievable it was to see that. But it has Echo, which means that you have to pay its casting cost again the next turn. You only have to do that once. But, you know, you play this on turn 1, that's awesome. You got a 1 mana 2/2. Can't play a 2-drop. That kind of sucks, right? So there's that. Was it Wild Dogs? Yeah, this is it. During your upkeep, if a player has more life than any other, that player gains control of Wild Dogs. Now, what this is a Gazban Ogre. But we should do a whole video on like bad cards that I liked back in the day, right? Like old cards that I loved that are bad. Like absolutely terrible cards, you know? Look at this. Look at this card. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You should never trust me to evaluate cards. Because when I was 15, I loved this card. This card is everything that I would, like knowing what I know about Magic and card evaluation and like what my job is nowadays. Like I would go back and I would just like slap 14-year-old Dev across the teeth. You know, just, what are you doing? What are you doing playing this card? So bad. We thought this was broken. Do you remember? Do you remember when we thought this was good? When we were 12? There was a time. There was a time when you gain like 12 life, dude. I'm gonna have 7 cards in my hand. I'm gonna draw this for the turn, and I'm gonna gain 14 life on playlist. What usually actually happens is you play your land for the turn, and then you play Gerard's Wisdom, and you already didn't have a full grip, so you just have like 3 cards in your hand, you gain 6, who cares? It's a sorcery, by the way. Like, you did this on your turn, like, you tapped out for this on your turn, to not affect the board in any way, to not play a body, to not draw cards, just to gain life. It's so bad. It's such a bad card. Stream of Life OP? Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, there was a time. There was a time when I thought that this was a good Magic card. Now the joke is that, I just saw this on Twitter the other day, is that there is no mana cost at which a Stream of Life effect is good. It's just, even though it scales, usually scalability is a very, very good thing, right? This always scales poorly. I gained 10 life. Cool. You spent 11 mana at sorcery speed. What are you doing? Like, it's so awful. Now, Howl from Beyond, on the other hand. Howl from Beyond. Aha! This was a good Magic card. Note the instant speed. Target creature gets +X+0 till end of turn. So, in mono black aggro, or usually zombies, is what people played this in back in the day. With Zombie Master. Reprint Zombie Master, bud. You know, your 1 zombie that goes unblocked. Your 2/2, whatever. Like Skaze zombie. Like your worst zombie goes unblocked. I'm going to Howl from Beyond for 6, bud. I win the game. Howl from Beyond was good back in the day. We just got a strictly better green Howl from Beyond in the new set in New Capenna. It will never see any play. Like, it's guaranteed to never see play. And it's strictly better. It's like a Howl from Beyond that creates a 1/1 token. That's really good, but nope. Nope. It's not guaranteed to see no play. Zombie Master. How much could you get a Zombie Master for? 4th edition? Oh, wow, it's expensive. Even a 4th edition one is expensive. That's crazy. Oh, how is Revised less expensive than 4th? That's crazy. All zombies gain Swamp Walk and Regenerate for as long as the card remains in play. So it doesn't Anthem your zombies. Like, it doesn't +1/+1 your zombies. But Regenerate. Regenerate is such a silly ability. It's so silly. I miss old school Magic. You know another card, guys, that I want them to reprint so badly, especially right now. Like, God, I'm going to have to cut this into a YouTube video. Another card I really so bad, like the last 5 years, like since I've had a YouTube channel, I've wanted them to reprint this card, and even before, with the exact same art. Not that one. That was the last time we saw it, was 5th edition. I want Bad Moon, dude. I want Bad Moon so badly. And I want exactly Bad Moon. I want the symmetrical effect, all black creatures in play, not creatures you control, blah, blah, blah. I will take Bad Moon with 100% this art. Spooky Road, Spooky Mountain, Spooky Skullface Moon, Jesper Myford's art. Give it to me. Put it into my veins, in between my toes. Put it in standard. I want Bad Moon so bad. Oh, Uncle Istvan. Uncle Istvan. Like an old guy living in the woods with a bloody axe. It's so, man, Magic. I miss Magic the Gathering, don't you? More Thrulls. Dude, I don't remember how to spell his name. But if we just go to Thrull, yeah, it's Basil Thrull. This guy, buddy. What's the best art for Basil Thrull? The Phil Foglio, probably. But everybody likes RKF, Richard Kane Ferguson. This dude is cool, man. So he's a 2-mana 1/2 that you can tap and sack to add 2 black to your mana pool. How much play do you think this card would see nowadays, guys? This is from Fallen Empires, by the way. I did a whole video about how Fallen Empires is like way better than people say that it is. Just basically the top 10 Fallen Empires cards. And I think I point this out. Like, if this was printed in the next set, do you think that this would see like all the play in the world? Yeah, auto include in standard. Absolutely, dude. The only bad part about it is double black. So like you kind of have to play it in like very black heavy decks. But like, this is the closest thing to a dark ritual. Like, if this were printed into standard, this would see a lot of play. Like, again, people talk about how Fallen Empires is a bad set, but then you see Hymn to Tourach, and Hymn to Tourach is, I mean this, Him to Tourach is in the running for best cards of all time. Best black cards. Like, if I was going to do a list of top 50 black cards of all time, Him to Tourach might make the top 10. I mean, look at this. It's 2 mana for 2 discards at random. At random. The random is the big part of this, but the real juice here is the fact that it's a 2-for-1, right? It's 1 card. You're paying 2 mana and a card to get 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. On turn 2, this is sick. This is absolutely sick. But it's even better a lot of the time on turn 4, right? Because you play your 1-drop black creature, your 2-drop black creature, your 3-drop black creature. Your opponent's playing Magic with you. Maybe they've dropped a creature. Maybe they've traded in combat. Maybe they played one of their removal spells, whatever. But they haven't played, their 4, 5, 6 mana thing yet. On your turn 4, hitting them with Him to Tourach usually means they're either out of cards or they only have like 1 card left, and there's a pretty high chance that you grab the card they wanted to play next. Him to Tourach's good on turn 2 or turn 4 or 5 a lot of the time. So him is just, God, I'm actually glad that they've decided to basically like never ever print this again into standard. Sinkhole was the best black card. Sinkhole is stupid. It's a 2 mana destroy target land, which is, how does that exist? They won't even print Stone Rain anymore. How did Sinkhole ever exist? But honestly, I think the best black card of all time, period, is probably Dark Ritual. It's tough. Because you've got your things like Necropotence and Liliana of the Veil, these heavy hitters, right? And Liliana saw a lot of play. You could argue that Necropotence was very narrow in its playability. Gristlebrand, very narrow in its playability. These are iconic cards. But in terms of like spread of playability, being iconic, was played in the highest number of decks throughout, the old days and stuff. I think Dark Ritual is probably the actual single best black card ever printed. Very likely. I mean, Mind Twist, maybe. Thoughtseize or something like that, but Dark Ritual, there it is. A couple people agreeing with me, I think, before I even said it. Yeah, Necropotence is great, Zombie Lunch, but again, I think it's narrow. Like, when compared to something like Dark Ritual, Necropotence has seen a lot of play, but usually it sees play in the same kind of decks. Whereas Dark Ritual sees play in just everything.